Sudan, a land of beautiful people and amazing cultures, has vast opportunities for development. Laying on 644,000 square kilometers with the river Nile flowing through it, 80% of South Sudan's landscape is fertile arable lands, and it has the third largest wetland in Africa. South Sudan boasts of the largest wildlife migration in the world. South Sudan has vast oil deposits, being the third largest in sub-Saharan Africa. These potentials, coupled with a huge human capital waiting to be tapped both at home and in the diaspora, give the world's youngest country a firm foundation for building peace, driving economic growth, and sustaining development.
Many people dismiss Africa as a land of potential that cannot be realized. Why are potentials not realized? Potential requires sound leadership. It requires people who are willing, who have the agency, which is the intentional action, deliberate intention to harness, to exploit the resources, the endowment that God has given them. So that's an area that South Sudan gradually needs to develop.
As the country gradually picks itself out and up from a tumultuous past, UNDP seeks to accompany the government and the people of South Sudan on their development journey.
We developed a country program, and the country program focused on institution building, especially focusing on public service, strengthening, accompanying the government in developing the public service. It focused on dialogue, helping the country and the people to have conversation on the vision of South Sudan that they have and how they want to actualize that vision.
As a lead and a convener of governance issues, we are continually supporting the government. We supported the drafting of the bill, for example, that establishes the constitution-making process, which was passed into an act last year. Now we are supporting the ministry to try and actualize that act. What we're looking to do and what the peace agreement wants to do is to come up with a permanent agreement. And so UNDP is working closely with the Ministry of Justice as well as the Review Commission to stand up or to build the bodies that are required.
We have the national parliament and the state parliament. All of these need to be supported in order to be able to handle and deal with questions of legal aspect in terms of really enacting laws, in terms of checking on the executives, and we are working with the leadership of parliament on these things.
UNDP has been one of our biggest partners in terms of implementing the mandates of the ministry. UNDP helped us review the curriculum which had been there, the Parliamentary Service Master Curriculum. This curriculum is very critical for empowering legislators, the members of parliament and the staff. UNDP hired for us a parliamentary expert who is an advisor currently working with us closely and also working with the parliament, with the National Legislative Assembly and also the Council of States, plus all the other state assemblies across the states.
The peace agreement provides that we should have a constitution at least 6 months before the election. The elections are scheduled for December 2024. We are working to support every mechanism that would work towards enabling the elections to make it happen, including the constitution.
Consequently, a series of encouraging reforms have been undertaken with support from UNDP for longer-term stability and development outcomes.
We also have invested in rule of law institutions. Our Access to Justice and Rule of Law program has worked with the government to extend state authority through the police, state authority through the courts, state authority through other security apparatuses.
We train the police officers to be able to be gender sensitive when they are handling the victims and perpetrators of gender-based violence. We have also been supporting them to establish new offices across the country. So far there are about 20, and in Juba alone we have 8. In every division we have them. I think the highlight is when we're able to develop for them a standard operating procedure, because now they have a standardized way of working. The best of our support in the central prison has been the vocational training center, whereby we train inmates and officers on the basic vocational skills, and then they're able to, for example, when the inmates leave, they use the skills to improve themselves, to get economic empowerment, and also as a reintegration program to reduce the rate of recidivism.
Training بتاعنا ده training تمام خالص عشان شغله وتمام لأننا عشان بعدين كان نتعلم انت بيساعدوا بلد بتاعك كمان أننا ما عندنا بنات كتير الجي شكل شغله.
By working closely with the GBV and juvenile court, and we make a difference in their lives through the access to justice that they actually get from the two specialized courts.
أنا كان جرى أعرف في court يا أمي يا كلام قال كلام جايني في نسوان كيرا ناقي درجة تاكون ناق فعلا كان أنا كواسويا يا مانا اللي تاكون يا أنا تالا مورتا مانا جاي تاكون درجة أنا أنا كده أنا جاني كيف من الناق أروى تالا لأنا دقيت 50 كيلو بفاكم بكم سالي بزيت لي 5 لتر يا وسيلة لأنا في البيت من الناق أكير تجري أنا ليجو أنا بقدر أسأله حتى.
There are community dialogues that are happening. Community peace committees are being developed to resolve community conflicts and have the cross-fertilization of cultures and people. That was also developed.
Using the traditional methods but infused with human rights thinking and mediation and negotiation. When I see that happen within the community, I see that our work is having impact.
I want to thank UNDP for its support that it always give us as members of the UNDP Board of Peace Committee in order to come together and sit and discuss our facing issues between the two neighboring communities.
فبيبقى المؤتمر ده بيعالج كل قضايانا العالقة سواء كان بتاعت مسيرية أو بتاعت دين كمالوال، وعندنا دستور وعندنا قانون بنحل بقى قضايانا، ونتمنى إنه ربنا يساعدنا في حل هذه القضية، والآن أنا أفتكر إحنا ماشيين كويس.
Even if we have a very good mediation dialogue and you go home hungry, you're not going to eat a dialogue. So we also try to inject the economic empowerment, and that is why our peace building effort is a whole package. We have a group of 45 national trained psychosocial support facilitators. With those, we have over 300 community-based psychosocial volunteers. So we have drilled over 26 boreholes to be able to respond to water crisis. We have done one dam. We have a cottage factory for women, and we have so many, over 5,000 women and youth engaged in small-scale economic empowerment initiative. The bill related to women's empowerment. I am very proud of that because it has been a journey, and they just concluded an international transformational leadership conference in South Sudan. The first ever conference was just the icing of the cake.
For the first time in our brief history as a nation, South Sudan is hosting an incredible number of women in leadership, from former heads of state and government to entrepreneurs and activists, academics, artists, policymakers, humanitarians, and revolutionaries from all walks of life. This transformational conference for women leaders is a spark to a bright and beautiful fire. We join together to commit to advancing gender equality, not only in South Sudan, but across the globe.
We also worked on local economic development, looking at small businesses that are being developed, trying to see how we add value to agriculture products, this vast agriculture potential it has. And that also has been an area that UNDP has invested.
We are proud to say that so far, about 21,000 of the youth and women benefited from this training. And in terms of employment creation, is something we, even ourselves, we never thought we were going to reach that. We're talking of 70% rate of employment. You know, we're talking of almost 15 to 16,000 of those who were trained getting employment, and around 1,500 starting their own businesses, which mean in itself creating employment for other people and bringing income to them, to themselves in that area.
Actually, how to make this liquid soap? First of all, before we mix, we have to buy some materials. We have 7 types of chemicals. Color is there, perfume is there, sodium hydroxide also is there, then nitric acid. We're also using to mix it to become like this one. And now this is also paying my school fee. And before it was not there, I'm now helping them. They're happy with me, and then I'm feeling well also. They're appreciating me that this is, they are really praying this thing should not end.
The impact has been really great. Most of the youth who went through the training, they are able to do their own business, they are able to get employment, and even there were some tracer studies which indicated that the youth were very much satisfied with the skills they got, and they are able to contribute to the economic development of the country and even their personal development. So we are hopeful that all will work well and we'll be able to strengthen our youth and be able to harness, their skills and energy in contributing towards peace building in this country and towards the economic development. And as government, we are truly indebted to the UNDP, and we hope to continue to partner with them to bring the change that we need in this country.
We still believe that we need to do more to empower people so that they can have income, because this is the hope for them. And people can face the future if they know they have the skill to face the future, and they can be competitive in the labor market. So we also believe that private sector in an area we're pushing forward to ensure that we have this development. And specifically, we are looking at access to finance. I'm very happy to say that we are now working with some of the commercial banks in South Sudan that they provide loans, to the range of 2,000 to 10,000 to micro small enterprises, targeting youth up to 35 of their age, so they can benefit from this thing. This could be groups, they can be also individual registered businesses to benefit from these finances. If this continue, this means infusion of a lot of businesses in the economy, and mean building stronger private sector from those small enterprises. We're looking at about 1,100 micro small enterprises and BSLAs to benefit from this microfinance.
We got support from UNDP, and that support was very crucial in preparing us to get the quality mark that South Sudan is gearing towards to.
Being a 100% South Sudanese company, we are very proud that actually we are the only honey company that has made sales to the international market. When the news came that South Sudan, apart from the oil, they have made sales of honey outside, the news did not come to Hagana, but it comes to the whole country as what? It is say South Sudan, not what? Not Hagana. So in that point, we are very proud.
South Sudan is one of the world's most vulnerable countries to climate change and natural disasters. This renders the country into complex emergencies that continue to jeopardize recovery and development efforts.
So we are working with the government. We first work with the government to develop the nationally determined contribution, which is a requirement by the United Nations Fund for Climate Change. They also have developed a national action plan to respond to climate change, and we are supporting the implementation of the National Action Plan. The current program we have with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry focuses on developing the country's capacity to predict climate change. So climate meteorological capacity to predict what the weather would look like in the coming few months, and informing farmers so that they're prepared and anticipate what is going to happen is an area that we're investing in. We're also investing in community readiness, simulation, scenarios building, If floods come, how do you move to dry land? How do you anticipate moving your agricultural activities because of the anticipated floods or droughts? All of those predictable things enhance communities' resilience, and we're working closely with the ministry to implement this project. We brought in senior leadership from the government to look at two very important bills that don't exist in South Sudan. Environmental protection bill that is very critical for environmental protection in South Sudan.
Going forward, upholding and fast-tracking the implementation of the peace agreement, strengthening service delivery institutions, governance, and economic and public financial management systems will prove critical as South Sudan seeks to build resilience against future shocks and lay down the building blocks for a diversified, inclusive, and sustainable growth pathway.
UNDP is the principal recipient for the Global Fund project. The Global Fund project actually is for TB, HIV, malaria, and with COVID-19 also there is a project that supports COVID-19 and it's called COVID-19 Response Mechanism. The Global Fund is the only grant that procures commodities, whether it is the drugs, whether it's the reagents, equipment, and the maintenance of the equipment is the Global Fund project. So basically the Global Fund supports the entire country.
For HIV, since we started all the intervention, the prevalence in this country was very high, almost close to 3%. And at the same time, the number of people living with HIV was above 200 since that time. But when the Global Fund came in and supported the country with all the investment that we have received, we managed to bring down the number of cases as well as the prevalence.
From here, when they started the support group and they had this SLA, they were contributing their own money. And one young man who was discriminated in the community because he was HIV positive was able to join the support group, and he was doing very well. He was taking his medication, and he borrowed something like 50 those days in 2015, 2016, 17. He borrowed only 50 pounds. From these 50 pounds, he started to open a big garden. And then they bought maize because there was really drought and all this. He got a lot of money from this maize, and then he constructed permanent houses. He planted teaks. And so the young people around there said, now, we do not want the other chief because the chief does not bring any change in the community. Take him out, we want somebody like this who can bring development in the area. And so he became the chief from being discriminated, you know.
Through UNDP first, we had the first incinerator, high temperature incinerator that was procured in the country was from UNDP, actually Core Resources Truck Fund. And we bought that and we put it in the National Public Health Laboratory. With COVID-19, we used to bring oxygen from the neighboring country, but now we have 2 oxygen plants procured under the grant. And also through the grant, we are supporting an existing oxygen plant which was procured by the African Development Bank.
And NEPO stands for National Empowerment of Positive Women United. It is an organization and a network of people living with HIV, providing a range of HIV services, and as well some cross-cutting activities like GBV and other peace building. You have seen this office, you have seen the kind of people, you have seen the kind of work we do. And from the beginning you said, you heard about NEPO, and you really heard that they're doing a great job. And it's because of that and because of the support from UNDP.
These prefabs, okay, it is through the Global Fund for UNDP that we have this prefab, we have the vehicle. Without it, NEPO will not be sustainable.
We are installing solar panels to 21 facilities, and major one already is installed in the warehouse, already functional, and in the public health laboratory, already functional. One is in WOW, and other facilities. So there are 21 facilities which we are going to install solar panels, and that of course is bringing us to clean energy. Because the warehouse that we are managing, we have put a very robust system in place, but it's a government facility. The National Public Health Laboratory was renovated. through the Global Fund project, and we support the blood bank in terms of procurement. We procure the equipment, we buy reagents, we also pay incentives in the blood bank. And also, we supported the HIV lab to have the tests in country. In the past, up to 2018, we used to send samples up to Nairobi.
Currently, UNDP's strategic plan for 2022 and 2025 have one of the enablers for us to achieve development is innovation and technology, digitalization. So the Accelerator Lab is a model that is attached to each of our country offices to help translate all our development intervention, thinking from technology and from innovation.
One of the first initiatives that we worked on was something called the Blue Messenger Bicycle, group of young people who were actually using bicycles with loudspeakers attached and who had gone out into the community and were taking the message of the public safety messages. We've worked extensively with the Go Girls. During COVID period, we helped them to set up an open science framework laboratory, and within that laboratory they were able to create the first South Sudanese produced hand sanitizer.
Also, the Accelerator Lab, along with our team on peace and community cohesion, worked to develop a mobile app for monitoring violence across the country. The early warning system, very simple app that is used by any telephone, not even a smartphone, can report a violent situation, automatically register in the situation room here in Juba. The Peace and Reconciliation Commissioner and his team at the Ministry of Peacebuilding, they are able to track that. They're able to now alert the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the police, and they can immediately respond to the crisis in that particular community.
One of the things is the University of Juba Innovation Pod, which PACC has been supporting, and that is going to be a makerspace where university students from across the country can be able to access, and they will be able to take their ideas from being on paper to actually a physical product.
South Sudan being a very young country, no banking institutions across South Sudan apart from Juba. There are no banks anywhere else. And so how do we now achieve our goal of financial inclusion?
We went to a place called Warawar. Warawar is a peace market which exists in northern Baghazal, close to the border with Sudan.
UNDP came with the idea, and so they sponsored these people, and they turned the manual, normal culture known as sanduk. Sanduk is a box where you put the money in. This is virtually what it is, but then we turn it into a digital sanduk. That means you will have a float and cash in the digital platform. It has so many advantages. One advantage is that the women are able to have their money and to come together as a group and improve their business. And this is also a financial inclusivity aspect of it that we very much embrace.
Tiar kudi akan karate na kan akin ni chiro lo galten waren to wa ga ranto ajal ka bot tiar kudi bar ka bet aka chiro lo galten na kan man waren te go we pyo dan UNDP ja ke lo ko ta ke sandu ge ya ke dukan tiar dukan to.
The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development provides a global blueprint for dignity, peace, and prosperity for people and the planet, now and in the future. More than ever, we see the importance of strengthening global partnerships and multilateralism to solve the world's problems that are getting even more complex. Consequently, the Global Sustainable Goals provide the framework to address these problems, and stronger partnerships are crucial for accelerating and sustaining development and saving the planet by mobilizing resources, sharing knowledge, promoting the creation and transfer of environmentally sound technologies and building capacity.
Our development partners, donors, who have grown their trust in UNDP. The Swedish International Development Agency has reaffirmed its commitment to partner with UNDP on issues of peace and community cohesion, on community violence reduction. The government of France also has been supporting on that agenda. The government of Norway, the Kingdom of Norway, has been our primary partner when it comes to building institutions. And the rule of law, extending state authority, is support we get from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Japan has been a lead support to UNDP as well in strengthening police and working with local government, strengthening local government institutions. The European Union is now coming in. They are supporting us. They have already given us the signal of supporting the initial grant for elections. And beyond elections, we're gradually looking at climate support from the European Union as well. IFRs, we have the African Development Bank that has been quite a lead support for our youth empowerment program, for our public finance management support, also along with Norway, supporting us. All of the state revenue authority system we built is from the government of Japan, the African Development Bank, the SDG Fund. We have got a lot of resources from the Peacebuilding Fund as well that do support us. KWAICA, the Korean International Agency for Development, also support our peace work. Canada is coming on board. Switzerland is also one of the lead supporters in terms of our work on women empowerment as well. But we have a strong partnership with the World Bank, with the IMF in working together. And then, of course, our biggest support on the health system strengthening. Actually, 30% of our annual budget comes from the Global Fund. We have also vertical fund through UNEP. We have the GEF. Going forward, and we believe in our next vision of engagement with the government, we will build on this momentum that has already been gained in the results we have realized thus far. What I will remember South Sudan for is the resilience of its people. We shouldn't take for granted that people can endure what the people of South Sudan have endured and still stand up for themselves. And we can see that that resilience, if it is given full expression, it can help this country to accelerate its development progress.